He knew the law. He knew the words. But knowing is not the same as living. What does it really mean to love? Is love just something we recite, or something we choose when it costs us? What happens when pain lies right in front of us, and we decide to walk away? When faith passes by, but compassion does not. This is a story about a question that sounded holy, yet searched for limits. A story about excuses, comfort, and the quiet ways we justify ourselves. But more than anything, this is a story about mercy. Unexpected mercy. Mercy that crosses boundaries and stops when others keep walking. One man left half dead. Two who saw and passed by. And one stranger who chose love. One moment that will change how you see your neighbor. One decision that will reshape your understanding of faith. Stay with us until the end, because the final scene carries a message every heart needs to hear. If stories that awaken compassion and call us to live what we believe speak to you, subscribe to Bible Animated and be part of a community that believes love is meant to be lived, not just spoken. The road from Jerusalem to Jericho was never a friendly one. It wound downward through dry, sun-scorched hills, twisting between narrow passes where the rocks rose high and the ground fell away without warning. The wind swept through the canyons like a low whisper, carrying dust and danger with it. Travelers spoke of this road in quiet voices, not because it was long, but because it was unforgiving. A man was walking alone. His footsteps echoed softly against the stone path. The sound swallowed almost as soon as it was made. No companions walked beside him. No voices filled the air, just the steady rhythm of his steps and the faint sound of his own breathing. He adjusted the strap on his shoulder, feeling the weight of his belongings, small as they were. Still, they were everything he had. He glanced ahead. Then behind, the road felt too quiet, the kind of quiet that makes the heart listen harder. He pulled his cloak closer, though the sun was already climbing, and the heat pressed against his skin. Every turn of the path hid what lay beyond it. Every shadow seemed deeper than the last. Somewhere between the bends of the hills, movement stirred. It happened quickly, too quickly. Figures burst from the shadows without warning. Rough hands seized him before he could cry out. A sharp blow sent him crashing to the ground. His breath left him in a rush as pain exploded through his body. He tried to shield himself, but fists and feet came down again and again. The sky spun, the ground felt cold, then distant.
Please,
he whispered, his voice thin and broken. The word barely left his lips. No one answered. They tore his cloak from him, ripped away what little he carried, and struck him one last time before disappearing back into the hills. Their footsteps faded as suddenly as they had come, swallowed by the same silence that had hidden them. The man lay motionless. Blood ran down the side of his face, dark against the dust beneath him. His clothes were gone. His body ached in places he could not name. His chest rose and fell, shallow and uneven, each breath a quiet struggle. He tried to move his arm, just a little, but it would not obey him. The sun climbed higher. Heat pressed down on his broken body, stealing what little strength remained. Flies gathered in the stillness, circling, landing, lifting again. The road stretched on in both directions, empty and indifferent, as if nothing had happened at all. He listened. No footsteps, no voices, only the wind moving through the rocks. Time blurred. Minutes felt like hours. Hours slipped into something he could no longer measure. His eyes fluttered open, then closed again. The strength to call for help faded, leaving only a quiet, aching hope. Was anyone coming? The road did not answer. He lay there, stripped, beaten, half dead, a single human life abandoned between two cities. On that dangerous road from Jerusalem to Jericho, Everything now depended on who might pass by next, and whether they would choose to stop. Far down the road, a shape appeared. At first, it was only a figure against the bright stone, moving steadily, confidently. The sound of footsteps broke the silence at last. Slow, purposeful. Each step echoed between the rocks, announcing a presence long before it arrived. A priest was coming down the road. His robe caught the sunlight as he walked, its edges brushing the dust with careful steps. He did not hurry. He did not linger. This was a man who knew these roads well, and who knew who he was. A man accustomed to being respected, greeted with lowered eyes and quiet reverence. He carried himself with the weight of duty and the comfort of belonging. He had places to be, people waiting, sacred responsibilities that could not be delayed. As he drew closer, something on the ground caught his eye. He slowed. There, just off the path, lay a body. The priest stopped. For a moment, the world seemed to pause with him. The wind softened. The hills stood silent. He stepped closer, squinting against the harsh light of the sun. The man on the ground was barely recognizable, bruised, bloodied, unmoving. His skin was torn and dark with dust and dried blood. His clothes were gone. Whatever dignity he once carried had been stripped away with them. The priest's eyes lingered. He could see the man's chest rise and fall, faint, uneven, still breathing. His heart tightened. This is real, he thought. He's alive. The road stretched behind him, empty, offering safety and retreat. Ahead of him, narrow bends, shadows, and uncertainty. The hills seemed to watch in silence. The wind whispered through the rocks, stirring questions he did not want to answer. What if the robbers are still here? What if this is a trap? What if I stop and never make it out? His eyes scanned the hills. Nothing moved. Yet danger had a way of hiding until it was too late. He looked down at his hands, clean, unstained, hands set apart for holy things. These hands bless, he told himself. They offer sacrifice. They must remain pure. To kneel beside the man would mean touching blood. To touch blood would mean defilement. To become unclean now would disrupt everything. His duties, his role, his standing. People depended on him. The temple depended on him. I can't afford this, his mind whispered. I wasn't meant for this. Helping would take time. Helping would cost something. Helping would cost something. Helping would pull him into a story he had not planned to enter. The injured man stirred. His lips trembled. A sound tried to form but barely escaped. A breath followed, thin, fragile, as if even breathing demanded more strength than he had left. His fingers twitched weakly in the dust, reaching for something. Someone. The priest shifted his weight. Someone else will come, he thought. Someone better suited. Someone stronger. Someone with less to lose. He hesitated. Just long enough to feel the weight of the moment press against his chest. Just long enough to know he was choosing. Slowly, deliberately, he stepped to the other side of the road. His sandals scraped against the stone as he passed by. His robe brushed the air where compassion might have been. He fixed his eyes ahead, refusing to look again, refusing to let the suffering behind him call him back. With each step, the distance grew, not only between him and the wounded man, but between safety and sacrifice, between religious duty and living mercy. The sound of his footsteps faded, silence returned. The road felt emptier than before. The injured man lay where he was, the brief spark of hope dimming as the figure disappeared around the bend. His breathing weakened, the sun burned hotter. Shadows shifted across his broken body, but no help came with them. The moment had passed, and with it, the chance to choose mercy. The road waited once more, quiet, dangerous, indifferent, as a human life hovered between survival and surrender. Somewhere beyond the hills, someone else might be walking this way. The question lingered in the air, unanswered. When you see suffering, when stopping will cost you something, and walking away feels easier, what will you choose? A long while later, another figure appeared on the road. The injured man sensed it before he saw it. The sound of footsteps returned, slower this time. Careful, measured, hope stirred inside him, faint but real, like an ember waking under ash. A Levite was approaching. He walked with purpose, yet without haste, his eyes trained on the path ahead. Like the priest before him, he was familiar with sacred things, trained in service, taught to honor God with precision and care. As he drew near, he noticed the shape on the ground. For a moment, his gaze locked onto the broken body beside the road. He stepped closer, close enough to see the blood, the torn skin, the shallow breath that still fought to remain. The wounded man lifted his eyes. "Help me," he whispered, barely audible. The Levite's face tightened. He looked around. The hills were still. The road was empty, yet danger seemed to linger in the silence. If I stop, he thought, what will it cost me? He knelt slightly, then hesitated. His mind raced through rules, risks, responsibilities. He imagined delays, questions, consequences. Someone else will come, he told himself. Slowly, he straightened up. He turned away. The footsteps faded once more, and with them, the fragile hope slipped back into the dust. The injured man closed his eyes, weaker than before. Two had seen, two had paused, and two had chosen to walk away. The sun continued its slow climb, indifferent to the choice just made. Heat pressed harder against torn flesh and failing strength. The man's chest rose, then faltered. Each breath now felt like a battle already lost. Hope had come close enough to touch him, and then it was gone. The road remained, waiting. Silence stretched long and heavy, as if the earth itself wondered who would be next to walk this road, and whether mercy would finally stop, or pass by again. Without looking back, so again. The road was quiet again. Dust still lingered in the air where the Levite's footsteps had disappeared, slowly settling back onto the stones as if nothing had happened. The wounded man lay motionless beside the path, his body pressed into the dirt, his strength almost completely spent. Pain pulsed through him with every breath, but even pain was beginning to feel distant. He no longer searched the horizon with hope. Hope had already betrayed him twice. Now, he simply endured the road, the heat, the ache of being forgotten. Then, far in the distance, another figure appeared. At first, it was only a silhouette against the hills, moving slowly without urgency. The man on the ground did not lift his head this time. Disappointment had taught him caution. Expecting nothing hurt less than hoping again, he closed his eyes, bracing himself for another passing shadow. The traveler drew closer. Something about him felt different. His clothing marked him as a Samaritan, a foreigner, an outsider, one of the people others crossed the road to avoid. He belonged to a group spoken of with suspicion, contempt, and quiet hatred. Stories had been told about them, warnings passed down. To many, his presence alone would have been reason enough to turn away. He walked on, unaware that the road was about to test not only his courage but his heart. Then he saw the body. The Samaritan slowed, his eyes fixed on the figure lying beside the path. He took in the blood, the torn skin, the unnatural stillness that felt too close to death. His steps stopped completely, as if the road itself had asked him to choose. The wounded man sensed it and opened his eyes. Their gazes met. For the first time since the attack, someone did not turn away. Someone did not hurry past. Someone stayed looking. The Samaritan felt his breath catch. Something tightened inside his chest. Not fear, not calculation, but a deep sudden ache that surprised him. He saw more than wounds. He saw exhaustion. He saw loneliness. He saw human life hanging by a fragile thread, waiting for an answer. He stepped closer. Every instinct warned him this road was dangerous. Every lesson whispered that helping could cost him time, safety, even his life. He knew how Samaritans were treated. He knew how easily compassion could turn into regret. He knew that stopping would make him vulnerable, and yet he could not look away. That could be me, he thought. Left here, alone, praying someone would care. The man on the ground tried to speak, but no sound came. His lips trembled. His eyes pleaded where his voice failed, silently asking a question he had no strength left to ask. The Samaritan knelt. In that moment, the choice was made. He did not remain standing at a distance. He did not search for excuses. He did not wait for someone better, safer, more important, to come along. He allowed his heart to be moved, and he stayed. Hands that had known rejection reached toward broken flesh. A stranger came close enough to touch. Dust and blood stained his palms, but he did not pull back. Instead, he leaned in, steady and gentle. "I'm here," he whispered. "You're not alone." On that dangerous road, 3 men had seen the same suffering. 2 had seen and passed by. 1 had seen and stopped. Not because it was safe, not because it was required, but because compassion would not let him walk away. And for the first time since the attack, hope did not fade with retreating footsteps. It stayed, right there on the road. The Samaritan did not rush. He knelt beside the wounded man, close enough now to feel the heat of his skin, close enough to smell the sharp mix of dust, sweat, and blood. The road was still dangerous. The hills were still silent. Shadows still stretched across the stones. But the Samaritan no longer looked around. His world had narrowed to one fragile life lying before him. Carefully, he opened his bag. It was not made for moments like this. What he carried was simple, ordinary, meant for travel, not rescue. Still, he tore strips of cloth with steady hands, tearing away what little he had prepared for himself. He began to clean the wounds. Dirt and dried blood loosened and washed away. The injured man flinched, his body trembling as pain returned sharply. Pain meant he was still alive. "I know," the Samaritan murmured, his voice low and steady. "Just breathe, stay with me." He poured oil over torn skin, letting it soak in, softening what violence had crushed. Then he poured wine, sharp and burning, cleansing wounds that could easily become deadly. The man groaned softly, his fingers clutching at the ground. The Samaritan did not stop. Each movement was careful, deliberate, patient. He worked slowly, as someone who understood that healing could not be rushed. This was not the work of a moment. This was the work of staying when leaving would be easier. Time passed. The sun slid lower in the sky as he bound each wound as best he could. His hands grew sticky with blood. His knees ached from kneeling on hard stone. Sweat ran down his back. Still, he did not pull away. Still, he did not count the cost. Not yet. When the man tried to stand, his legs failed him. The Samaritan made another choice. He lifted him. The weight shocked him. Heavier than expected, awkward and unbalanced. The wounded man sagged against him, weak and trembling. Slowly, carefully, the Samaritan placed him onto his own animal. It meant surrendering his place. It meant walking instead of riding. It meant choosing discomfort so another might live. The journey resumed. Step by step, they moved on together. The road to the inn felt longer now. Every uneven stone jarred the injured man. Every stumble drained more strength from the Samaritan. Darkness crept across the hills, and the air grew cooler. Night approached, the most dangerous time on a road like this. Still, he kept going. At last, lights flickered ahead, and the Samaritan guided the animal inside, easing the wounded man down once more. Inside, the smells of food and fire mixed with the scent of blood and sweat. He stayed close, cleaning wounds again, offering water, steadying the man when pain returned. When sleep came, it came in short, broken breaths. The Samaritan did not sleep much at all. He watched through the night, listened to each breath. Rose when the man stirred. Mercy demanded attention, even when the body begged for rest. At dawn, he reached into his pouch and took out 2 denarii. No small amount. He placed them into the innkeeper's hand. "Take care of him," he said quietly. "If it costs more, I will repay you when I return." He did not know when that return would be. He did not know what delays awaited him. He only knew this man could not be abandoned again. When he finally left, the wounded man was breathing more easily. Color had begun to return to his face. Life, once slipping away on a lonely road, had found something solid to hold on to. Mercy had stayed long enough to matter. This was the cost of compassion. Not a feeling, not a passing emotion, but time, comfort, safety, resources, attention through the long night. Love had slowed the journey, emptied a purse, stained hands with blood, and claimed hours that could have been spent elsewhere. And because of that, a man who should have died on the road was alive. On the path from Jerusalem to Jericho, love had proven itself, not in words, but in wounds bound, steps taken, and a promise made to return. The road slowly fades from view. The dust settles. The danger passes. Life moves on, but the question remains. The story does not end with the Samaritan walking away from the inn. It lingers, not on the road between Jerusalem and Jericho, but in the heart of anyone who has been listening. 3 men walked that road. All 3 saw the same suffering. All 3 understood the risk. All 3 had reasons to keep going. Only one became a neighbor. Not because he shared the same beliefs, not because he followed the same rules, not because it was convenient or safe, but because he chose mercy. So the question rises, clear and unavoidable: who proved to be the neighbor? The answer is simple and unsettling. The one who showed mercy, not the one who knew the law best, not the one with the right title, but the one who stopped, stayed, and paid the cost. And then comes the invitation: go and do the same. Not someday, not when it's easier, not when someone else steps in. Go, do the same. This is where the story turns toward us, because the road is no longer ancient stone. It is the space between people today. It is the silence in our homes when someone is hurting and no one wants to speak first. It is the family member we avoid because their pain feels too heavy. It is the neighbor we know is struggling, but we hope someone else will help. It is the faces we pass every day, tired, unseen, dismissed. The elderly left alone, the poor pushed aside, the wounded we label as not our responsibility. We see them. The question is whether we stop. Mercy still looks the same. It still costs time. It still interrupts plans. It still risks being misunderstood. It still asks us to draw near when walking away would be easier. Love is not proven by words spoken from a distance. It is proven by steps taken toward another. The Samaritan did not solve the world's problems. He saved one life, and that was enough. So the invitation stands before us now, not as a command carved in stone, but as a choice waiting to be made. When you see suffering, when your heart is stirred, when the road offers you a way around pain, go, stop, draw near, and do the same. Because somewhere today, someone is lying by the road, not asking for answers, but for mercy. And the next neighbor is you. If this story touched your heart, don't walk away. Subscribe to Bible Animated for more stories that bring God's Word to life. Share this video with someone who needs hope today, and let us know in the comments who has been a neighbor to you, or who is God inviting you to stop for today. Stay with us, because love is meant to be lived, not just heard.